Yeah, actually. Good morning, guys, and welcome to the podcast. I'm really delighted about today's guest. He's actually an Austinite and same hometown, and he's here on the podcast sponsored episode. And Rick is an entrepreneur. He teaches clients in his community how to sell digital products and how to create high ticket items, sometimes six figures in a day. And I'm really happy to have him on to talk about this. So, Rick, welcome.
What's going on, Christopher? Thanks for having me, man. Glad to be
Yeah,
here, dude. Let's go, Austin, dude. Come on. Yeah.
so yeah, introduce yourself, and I'm really excited to dive into the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, thanks so much for having me, man. And listen, if you're listening right now, do yourself a favor and go subscribe to Christopher's podcast. Leave a 5-star review. I just did it a little bit earlier. Okay. What this guy is doing right now is absolutely fantastic for the space. So, brother, I just wanted to say thank you for what you're doing, the work you're doing. It's fantastic, man. Yeah, my name is Rick Pino. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 plus years, and specifically over the past probably decade or so, I've really leaned into the digital space, digital marketing. And now what we specialize in is basically helping people who have skills or knowledge or expertise turn those into fantastic passive, semi-passive income online by learning how to monetize your knowledge. And we do that through digital products and digital marketing, et cetera. And it's going pretty cool, man. Our students are absolutely crushing it. So we're having fun.
Yeah. And to kick things off, it sounds like you've been pretty successful and your students have as well. If the listeners and viewers on the podcast, if they, who do you attract? Who's your ideal client avatar, and what are they running away from towards? What are they frustrated,
Yeah,
fed
yeah.
up with?
Yeah, the biggest thing is anyone who has a desire to monetize their knowledge. So we have different systems and programs and places for people who are just getting started and they've never been an entrepreneur before and they're like, "What? This is possible?" And we help from there all the way up to 7-figure earners who are like, maybe they have a high level trait, or maybe they're in like a 6-figure job or something like that. Maybe they're a C-suite position or something. And we teach high level earners also how to monetize their knowledge. It's a different level for them because they usually, if you're earning 6 figures plus or even 7 figures, you have some stronger skills, and it works for everyone. If you're a beginner, we can help you get started. If you have some stronger skills, some more advanced experience or whatever, we can absolutely help you at that level as well. So anyone who has a desire to get into this digital space, man, that's who we help, and we're having fun, man. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. For someone that's just first starting out, what kind of set the seeds? What should they be thinking about? A course? Should they be thinking about affiliate or writing a book? Talk
Yeah,
about.
I think the biggest thing is the first and foremost. I'm going to speak just to beginners right now. If you're like, what, you can make money online and I can monetize my knowledge, I'm going to speak to those people real quick. If you're just barely starting out, the most important thing you can do, it's not about a book or a course or affiliate marketing. It's about you need to get very clear on who and how you desire to serve people. Because if you're unclear on who or how you serve somebody, the market's going to be unclear as to why they should do business with you. It's like you talk to somebody like, "Hey, what do you do?" And if you don't have a very concise way of explaining that in 10 seconds, then it sounds very jumbled and weird. It's, "Hey, what do you do?" "Oh, I do everything, and I do this, and I'm over there, and I juggle, and I make sourdough bread, and I help entrepreneurs, and I mow lawns." It's what? If you're unclear, person you're talking to will be very unclear. I always say a confused mind always says no. If you're unclear, they'll be unclear. So I think the very first thing before course or book or affiliate or any of this stuff is you must get very clear on who and how you serve people. And Christopher, I think one of the simplest ways to do that is it's a little framework I have. I help X do/get/have Y through fill in the mechanism Z, right? A simple one for me, if you're a beginner, I could say I help new entrepreneurs learn to make money online with digital products. That might be a way that I describe how I help new or aspiring entrepreneurs. Another way I could help is if it's a business person or a 6-figure earner or 7-figure earner or business person, I help established entrepreneurs scale from 6 figures to 7 figures or whatever, 7 figures to 8 figures and beyond. They're learning how to monetize their knowledge through high ticket coaching and programs. So when you can get super clear, now the person you're talking to, they're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And even if they don't understand one piece or one little mechanism in there, digital products, what's that? Now that opens up the conversation. And now you can actually begin to share a little bit more about how you serve people. But at the end of the day, it's all about serving, man. I think business is way more about serving than it is about selling. And if we can just focus on serving people well, we'll have no problem on getting paid, man. So that's kind of my philosophy.
Yeah. And that's great. That's a great philosophy. One of the biggest questions the audience may have is, for example, they're a doctor or lawyer and they hate their job and they quit or whatever, got laid off, and then now that they start over and they're like, what skills do I have? What client do I serve? Like, how should they proceed? Because it's just basically their world is their oyster now. How do they?
Yeah, 100%. And it's a fantastic question. And one of the ways I help our established 6 and 7 figure earners navigate this process, because there's a ton of people right now, like you said, like even a C-suite person, you're making 150, 250K a year or something like that. And you're like, gosh, man, this thing is, I'm still trading my time for dollars, even though I'm just trading it for a little bit more dollars than the average worker. And one way I like to help the established guys and gals navigate this is I describe it like this. Let's say you have a tool in your hand that you've only used a certain way your whole entire life. Let's just call it a broom, okay? Maybe you've got a broom in your hand and your broom is your degree or it's your skill or you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, or whatever. And you've always used this tool, this broom in a certain way. And you're like, shoot, man, what do I do now? I've just got this broom. If you begin to learn to look through a different lens and not just see your tool as face value for what it is. Well, I'm a lawyer, I'm a C-suite, I make 6 figures and blah. Instead of just looking at for face value, checking it and seeing it and viewing it at face value, what if you were to view that tool in a completely new context? For instance, let's say you take that broom, it's got a wooden handle, maybe it's an old school broom with the hay bottom or something like that, the straw on the bottom. Another way you could use this broom is you could build a fire with it. You could take apart the straw and you could make a kindling base, and then you could break the wood into pieces. And now you have a very cool start of a fire. And oh my gosh, this fire, it was a tool that I use only one certain way. So I was only used to seeing my tool this way. But if I look at my tool through the lens of creativity, go, how else can I use this thing in my hand in a creative way to serve a new group of people without having to start over from zero? I can just use the tool differently. That's kind of how we begin the process with the established guys and gals. Okay, you got this cool experience, this cool skill set, this cool degree or whatever it is. How can we look at this creatively to serve people, not just at face value, like I'm a lawyer, I'm a this. Okay, what creative ways can we turn this thing to where you can actually now start serving people in a new way without having to start over from zero? That's how I approach the established guys and gals too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once they get their crystal clear on their avatar and their skill set, how do they decide? What do you recommend? Is it digital products? Is it a book?
I think, again, before it's like, I have people, especially newbies and beginners, hey, what's the best digital product? For me, we have to remember when it comes to business, people don't buy things, they buy transformations, they buy feelings, and they buy results. And so it's not which one is better or how should I start. I think taking it back to, hey, you got to get clear, number one. Second thing you've got to do is you have to come up with an obvious solution to your market's obvious problem. And I think this is where a lot of people miss it, Chris. I have this cool idea. I'm going to create this random thing and hopefully people will love it. Instead of doing that and trying to reinvent the wheel, why don't you just serve? And this is what I like to coach people on. If you were to serve the people who are currently right now where you once were, whatever, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you've already been through that. You know the problems, you know the pain points, you know what they're struggling with. You have the language, you have the experience, and you're on the other side. So you know how to help them. While you were going through that season, there were things that you're like, gosh, man, I just wish I could figure out X, Y, Z. And now that you're on the other side, you're like, oh man, if I could go back and talk to my younger self, I would just tell them, whatever you don't do this and whatever you do this. That's the perfect way to get clear. And now you have obvious solutions to a market's obvious problem because you are the market. And so before we even try to say which digital product or which one's the best, it's before we even go there, it's okay, what obvious problem does the market have? And how can you have an obvious solution? And then, bro, and then the third thing is create a digital product that can solve that problem for them. So now you're not in a service-based business where you're trading more time for dollars, but now you're in a product, or in our case that we're talking about today, a digital product-based business to where you do the work one time. And then in building the actual digital product, maybe it's a course, maybe it's a mentorship, maybe it's a PDF guide, maybe it's a training manual, etc. You do the work one time and then you put it out there. And instead of you doing work, get paid, that's either a job or trading time for dollars or having a service-based business. Now you can work to build the actual digital product that solves that obvious problem with an obvious solution. You work one time and then you work and then I don't know about you guys, but the second one sounds way better than the first one to me.
Yeah.
And so that's the approach that we start taking it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that mindset. And talking about mindset shifts, what is your mindset approach to marketing and promotion? Because there's a lot of channels. And so how should one approach marketing and how should they view it?
100%. And honestly, Christopher, this is actually, so I'm actually walking you through a 5-step framework that I teach my students. This is the 4th step and it's actually marketing, but I want to submit to everybody listening right now or watching right now. I don't like to view marketing as marketing, right? I like to view marketing as community service. And what does that mean? One of my mentors says it like this: one of the best ways to help somebody is by actually helping them. Oh, duh. So the problem is, bro, is that so many people, when they're starting their business, they lead with asking, buy my stuff. Nobody wants your stuff, bro. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to buy your thing. But what if we flip that on its head and we viewed marketing not as everyone, please buy my thing, let's get the word out, to how can I put so much value into the market? How can I serve and help so many people that I can't help but get paid because I have so much seeds of value into the field of my market that now I'm disconnected from this sale. I just need a sale. And if I can be faithful to sow seeds of value, God's going to be faithful to bring in a harvest, right? And so I'm like, okay, cool. So instead of me being all desperate for a sale in marketing, please buy my stuff, guys, please, I'm going to position it to where I'm not a needer, Needer, chasing a sale, leading with asking. I'm going to put out value to my market, position myself as a leader, Leader, who now is seen as an expert in the field, and you attract sales. So I'm no longer chasing, I'm attracting. And I do this by flipping this idea of marketing on its head from let's get the word out, please buy my stuff, to how can I just overly provide so much insane value that I cannot help but get paid because I've just put so much value out there. Now I can't help but reap a harvest. That's my approach on the marketing side.
Yeah, I love that. I think, and I love that the lead with value and service. The next question I have for you is because you also help with the high ticket arena, and what's the mindset shift? Because, for example, there's people listening, they're like $20 books or
Sure.
$100 courses. How do you get to the 1,000? How do you make 6 figures in a day?
Yeah, 100%. So the context of this is if you're just starting out, I think it's a really cool idea to create like some kind of $100 digital product. Maybe it's a course or like a 4-week training or something that you can sell for whatever, $100 or $500. Maybe it's like a really robust course that you can sell for 1,000. When you're just starting out, it's really good to start using that muscle and learning how to make money online that way. But whenever you have a specific, really dialed in skill set, you can actually help people like achieve incredible transformations, not just here's my ebook, please pay me $12 or something. That, and nothing wrong with that. Everyone starts there. But if you can actually give somebody the sauce, man, and to where they take action on the information and it revolutionizes their life, that's whenever we get into the high ticket world. And so for me, I don't actually like to call it high ticket. I like to call it premium value, because for instance, there's always a premium value market in every single genre, every single niche, every single market. There is a premium value market out there. There are people like myself, maybe like you, Christopher, I'm getting to know you still, but I want the best. If I'm going to book a flight, I'm going to book first class. If I'm going to book a hotel, I'm going to book the best suite. If I'm going to get tickets at the concert, I'm getting front row. That's just me, right? And because I'm that market. And even though there's fewer of us at that level, which is completely fine, that's actually where the most money can be made, is in that premium value market. For instance, Louis Vuitton, like you don't go into the Louis store and be like, yo, man, can you knock $1,000 off this purse? You don't go into Rolls Royce and be like, hey man, can I get a discount? Like it doesn't exist. And rightfully, it should not. It's a premium offer for a premium market. And so when it comes to the high ticket stuff, I teach people how to position themselves, especially if they're good enough to help people get crazy transformations. Okay. I teach them how to position themselves as the premium offer into the market. Now, the cool part with premium value or high ticket is that, let's break it back down to the beginner level. Let's say you have $1,000 course and you're just starting out and you're doing good. For a lot of people who are just starting out, maybe leaving a 9 to 5 or something like that, $3,000 or $5,000 a month would be pretty awesome for them. And that's only 5 sales a month of $1,000 course. Anybody can do that. We show people how to do that when they're just starting. But how awesome would it be to sell, let's say you have a $10,000 mentorship program, to where you spend 3 months, 6 months, a year doing group coaching with your inner circle. And inside of this program, maybe there's a number of different courses and trainings. Maybe you want to get really premium with it and you bump the price to $20,000. And there's also a biannual event where they come and you do some kind of like cool done for you audit or an in-person training, etc. Okay. Now, if you're going to be the beginner person with the $1,000 product or service, in our case, a digital product, maybe a course or something, it's going to take you 100 sales to make $100,000 off of that $1,000 product. Not too shabby. It's definitely doable. Or you could just position yourself as the premium option who absolutely can help people receive at least a $20,000 transformation. And now, bro, you only need 5 sales to make the same 6 figures. And I know there's a lot of people listening right now, especially if you're newer to this space. You're like, what the heck? Who the heck's going to pay me 20 grand? The premium market who's looking for the best of the best in your field. I've got one story for you to just wrap this thought together. I've got a buddy who told me this story and it just revolutionized when I was a number of years ago when I was getting into this premium value or high ticket space. I was like, bro, that's it. So he had got this job, bro, as a door-to-door salesman. And he was selling like HVACs or something like that. And they had 2 different tiers. They had the low, cheap tier that was like easy sale. And then they had a super high, tens of thousands of dollars tier that everyone was like, oh, those are super hard to sell because they're more expensive. And he's like, dude, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the most rundown neighborhoods. I'm going to knock on every single door and I'm just going to play the volume game. And I'm just going to do the numbers. And out of every 100 doors I knock, someone's going to tell me yes. And I'm just going to volume this thing out. So bro, for the next few months, he's like out there knocking doors, going crazy in these like really rundown neighborhoods. And he's making sales because he's out there just grinding, dude, knocking these doors in these low end neighborhoods. And he thinks he's crushing because like he's getting a number of people telling him yes on the cheap thing. Yeah. At the end of the quarter, he goes into the office to go collect his commissions check because they paid by quarters. And he goes into the office. He's, oh man, this is going to be crazy, bro. I crushed. I know I did. And a buddy of his who had been around for a little bit longer, he's laughing. He's like, dude, don't tell me you went to all the cheap neighborhoods. He's like, bro, I crushed you. I made way more sales than you. You probably did. but wait till we get the check. And so they both received their check, bro. And the guy who is hustling in the cheap neighborhoods, he pulls out his check. He's, oh, look at that, dude. And the guy, his buddy, what he didn't know is his buddy was knocking on the expensive neighborhood doors. And he got way less yeses, but he flashed his check. He's like, ta-da. And it was like 4 or 5 times more of what the guy who was hustling in the cheap neighborhoods had made. And he's like, what the heck? Because he was new, right? He's like, what the heck? How did you make so much? I made way more sales than you. He said, yes, you made more sales than me. But here's the punchline, Christopher, and everybody else listening. He said, you made more sales because you were knocking in the cheap neighborhoods. But bro, you were knocking in the wrong neighborhood. He said, I got less sales as far as the less amount of people told me yes, but because the product that I sell is more expensive, I made way more money than you, bro. So I had to work less than you, work less hard than you, and I just had to go to the right neighborhood. So when it comes to premium value or high ticket, what I teach my people how to do is how to knock in the right neighborhood by positioning yourself as the premium value offer. Because Christopher, you know this, I know this, the best is not the cheapest and the cheapest is not the best. If you're looking for the cheapest, it's not here, but you're also not going to get the best. If you're looking for the best, it's right here, but it's not going to be the cheapest.
Yeah. We got one. It's all about working smarter versus harder.
Bingo. Because even in that situation, bro, let's go back to the very first analogy of the guy who sells $100,000 products or the guy who sells 5 $20,000 products. Now the person who sold 100 of the $1,000 products, they have to do customer service for 100 people. So now how well can you serve 100 people and help 100 people get a transformation? What if you only had 5 clients who paid you way more, and now you only have to do customer service for 5 people? Your capacity is going to be way greater even for the higher end clients. And I'll tell you this from experience, you might have experienced this as well. When you don't pay attention, right? And so the cheaper somebody pays you, in my opinion and in my experience, the worse clients they are. Yeah. Like when I first started out and I was selling the $50 products or whatever, 10, 12 years ago, somebody would pay $50 for the course and they'd be like, hey, I just sent you $50 and where's the vial of blood and the lock of your hair? And I need your personal cell phone number to call you at 3 a.m. What's going on here? I invested. I'm like, what the heck? But then now I have like my $50,000 and $100,000 and $200,000 clients. And the conversation's way different, bro. It's, hey, I just wired the 200K. I'm going on vacation. I'll be out for the week. Just let me know how it works and we'll circle back on next Tuesday. Cool. It's a completely different clientele. It's a premium value market. So that's who I love to serve everybody, but that's my sweet spot.
Yeah. I really love that. How can people find out more about you, connect with you, learn more about your community and, and learn more from you?
I'm all over social media. It's just Rick Pino, RickPino. I'm all over social, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, blah, 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 rickpino.com. Yeah, we're everywhere.
Excellent. Thanks so much for this wonderful conversation and keep up the great work.
Thanks, Christopher. Looking forward to connecting more, brother. Thank you.